We have a special guest today with us, my father. Um, yeah, we wanted to bring him on to kind of have a little bit more of a political debate. So just kind of have three minds talking about some of the things that are going on, especially approaching election time. Um, what's really gonna happen today is I'm going to be acting um, as an uninformed voter. So I want you guys to talk to me as if I'm an uninformed voter, and just so we can represent everybody correctly. And so, I'll have pushback and bring up concerns that I've heard over the years, and you guys can just kind of speak to different things. And throughout here, I do plan on showing a short clip of kind of referring to something that I had mentioned last time about when we were discussing the number of rappers supporting Trump versus Kamala. So we're gonna kind of revisit that, and I just want you guys to give your thoughts on that. And but yeah, before we get too far, I just want my father to introduce himself, and then we will get on with the show. So, Dad.
Yeah, I mean, just a guest today. Glad to join you guys. I'm glad you guys allowed me to get on your podcast. Happy to see what you guys are doing. I enjoy listening to you guys. So, just here as a guest today, and um, being able to share is a good thing for me. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So,
Welcome, sir. And I can say that the fruit don't fall far from the tree. You have an amazing son, and when he brought up the idea of us doing this because it was him, there wasn't any hesitation. As a matter of fact, how it went was when he originally approached me about this, he said, "Hey, some of that stuff that you be sharing, we need to document it somewhere." I said, "Well, if you're willing to do it with me, then off we go." And so part of how we ended up with the topic consistency at the outset is because what I saw from him was consistency, which is definitely a tribute to you because a lot of times that kind of example is going to come from a father. So I salute you, sir.
Thank you so much.
okay. So, for those who have been paying attention and have tuned in previously, you may have heard our last conversation where we were discussing certain things about the upcoming presidential election. I had a list of a certain number of and it was a comparative list of rappers who have kind of publicly come out and supported former President Trump, and certain rappers who have come out and publicly endorsed Vice President Kamala. And so there was another recent video that was taken on Twitter that kind of reaffirmed what I was saying, because I'm kind of the belief that right now, when it comes to the streets or the black culture, young black men right now, I think it's very much more favorable for Donald Trump. Just if you're taking a blatant survey, or if you, to me, I'm saying if you're listening to the culture and the music, that's kind of the direction that they're leaning. So I came across this video that was kind of echoing those sentiments. So I just wanted you guys to take a look at it and then also give a quick reaction to it, and then from there we can kind of have a discussion as to why certain people may be feeling a certain type of way. So let me just share this real quick.
Thugs backwards, bro.
What?
Harris.
Man, we
Who you voting for?
Trump.
Come on, bro. Harris thugs backwards, bro.
What?
Harris.
Man, we not voting for that, man. We voted for Trump, man.
Why?
Man, we not with none of that, man. Chuck be looking out for the black community, man. We ain't doing nothing,
Yeah.
man.
I respect. You all good, my boy.
All right, man. Smooth.
Yeah. And who you voting for, Trump or Kamala?
Man, Trump, we ain't that Indian ass, man.
Who, Kamala?
Yeah, we ain't.
Why you don't f*** with her?
Cause she them immigrants. I'm black. Them Venezuelans taking all our bread. They out here creating gangs. They out gang banging, breaking in bandit cribs, all type of good shit. We ain't with it.
So you don't like an open border?
Nope. We need that border.
Hey, what are your thoughts on when Trump got shot?
Man, hey, don't try to take my boy out. Make America great again.
Hell yeah.
Make America great again.
Hey, Trump or Kamala?
Shit, Trump, be honest.
Damn, so why Trump though?
Why Trump? Cause shit, we used to get paid and shit like he used to keep immigrants out, so you know we was able for us to get jobs. It's hard for us to get jobs now, shit, cause immigrants taking over.
So you're not with the Venezuelans?
I ain't fucking with them. I ain't gonna lie, they taking our jobs and some more shit. They do it better than us though, but they taking our man.
I heard they're taking over the buildings. Is that true?
Hell yeah, boy.
Who would you vote for?
I'm not gonna vote for neither one of them, but like I said first time, if it's a choice, I'll go with Trump. She ain't no good. I'll put it like that. So whoever wanna believe and go with her, check her history. Y'all turn around then.
I mean, but we can make history.
Man, we could, but it's not gonna be history, bro. That's gonna start World War III soon as she get in. And y'all know that y'all self. Y'all trying to act like y'all don't know. It's gonna be World War III when she get in. Best believe that, man.
Trump?
Yeah.
Ah, come on, bro. Kamala till it's backwards, bro.
Man, what is Kamala, we voting for Trump, bro. What are you talking about? You know damn well we don't Kamala.
Why?
Trump, you and Kamala.
Come on, bro. I can't even have my opinion. Damn, bro.
Bro, you voting for you, so you with that all them Venezuelans? You with all that goofy?
Yeah.
Nah, ain't no yeah. That's why I shit f***ed up because of you.
Damn, bro. I can't even have my opinion on something.
No, not her.
Yeah.
Not her. She bad for the community in the world. Ain't no
Yeah.
Vote for Trump, gang.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Trump or Harris?
Trump.
Yeah.
Trump.
Oh, Trump?
Yeah.
Ah, come on, bro. I shouldn't even let you shop here.
What you mean?
Trump, bro?
Yeah.
Man, come on, bro. You know it's Harris all the way.
You said who?
It's Harris.
Who the fuck that? Fuck Harris, boy.
Come on, Kamala.
Man, Kamala on, bro.
Yeah?
So you finna bring all the fags out. What you mean?
Ah, come on, bro. What you doing?
Boy, Kamala, boy.
So, right there. Let me just stop sharing that real quick.
So let me just say that this is the first time I'm seeing that video. So I just this is a disclaimer. Wow.
Yeah, so whoever wants to, give their first reaction to it, like I said, this wasn't very shocking to me because, like I said, if you're listening to the music and you're kind of following certain sentiments, then this is kind of what's being echoed within our culture right now. So I don't know if that's shocking to you guys, if you guys were, or I do feel one thing that I've seen is, and I'm hearing from a lot of other people, is that Kamala's receiving a lot more hate and disrespect than previous candidates in the past. So just, do you feel like it's unprecedented? Do you think that she may have done something to upset people? Where do you feel that this, because to me it seems a bit angry from this perspective. So
I'll go if you want, Frank. I'll go. Real
Yeah,
quick.
go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I think one of the guys said it where he said something about she ain't even black, she's Indian, so you know how our culture is. There's a lot of this stuff in there about who's black enough, who ain't black enough, so yeah, a lot of that is in there because that's been in our culture for a long time. Light skin, all of this type of stuff, and what do you have to do to prove yourself to be black? And you got to live in this neighborhood, and if you got a little money, you're not black, and all that sort of stuff. So that's some real stuff because people really feel like that. They really feel like, I'm in this by myself. Y'all ain't with us. You ain't in from this neighborhood. You don't know what we're going through. And, so that sort of a thing is a real thing. Um, but at the same time, the black culture has come a long way, especially when it comes to understanding society, understanding what we want, have some sort of ideology about life and about living. Some of us do. Some of us care, some of us don't. Some people are just talking, for the moment. They're not really thinking about, anything. They're not thinking about others. They're not thinking about society. They're just looking at little bites and little bits of information that they're getting. So I can see where a lot of people are coming from, and they just jump up and say Kamala's not this or Trump is that. You know, they some of them don't even want to do their research. I remember when I was young, it didn't matter to me that much either. I didn't really care that much.
Mm.
So I get it. But the difference is when I was young, there weren't a lot of people talking about why I should vote, especially who I should vote for. I don't remember anything about people talking about voting locally, voting for the mayor, voting for, the commissioners, the sheriff, or anything like that. So today, I'm more interested in communication, giving information so that people can't say, I didn't know. So
Mm.
people can't say, no one told me. Because in today's society, you've got so many resources to find out all this information where we didn't have before. So that's my first initial thought on what you showed in that clip.
Okay. Frank, your thoughts?
So this past weekend, I was at a conference, and shout out to Dr. K. Dr. K did a couple of bids, and one of the reasons why I think that, now suffice it to say, I do agree with my brother that for a lot of people, they are just responding based upon whatever the last soundbite they heard, whether it was in the music or whether it was CNN or something like that. But back to what I was saying about Dr. K, there's some of these brothers who are speaking from their own personal experience. And some of us believe that the the last candidate that was a woman who ran for president, part of the reason why she didn't get in is because the streets remembered that her and her husband was on that, that three strikes you out business. And interesting enough, as Attorney General, Dr. K was saying that he remembers that the vice president, like her president, Biden, was draconian when it came to the laws that they put in place, which some of the brothers feel like it was targeted. It was targeted at them because you get caught with a little bit of something, and you were doing a mile, and you was still young when this happened, but you probably remember my brother Kimber Smith, who went to Hampton University. Matter of fact, there's a documentary about her life. You know, this is a derogatory term, but those people who ended up carrying drugs for the dealer, they were known as mules. So she got mixed up with this guy, and she became his mule, and they gave her a 25-year bid. Now there was a lot of folks who rallied to her support, the NAACP and others, to get her out. But my point is that some of those brothers we saw in the clip, they're not just talking just to be talking. They have been doing a little research. That's one of the things that is great about the World Wide Web. You can go and you can get as much information as you want. And some of these brothers are speaking from their own experience. And I'm not even going to get into what they were saying about the bread. I'm just talking about what Dr. K told me as far as those laws and the fact that people have a very long memory when it comes to the bid that they had to do. Dr. K said that because of the bid that he had to do. Now he's not saying that he didn't do anything wrong, but the bid he did didn't match the crime. So he missed, graduations. He missed his children growing up completely. So I'm going to be quiet.
No, I mean that's a real thing. Like I said, where those young men were coming from, it's a real feeling. I mean, it's a real thing because, I was talking to my friend the other day, and we were talking about, in New York they had the stop and frisk, and they had all of these laws that were against us. So, you know what? When somebody comes up for election and they are from that side of the fence, I mean the law side, like the vice president is, that's not looked at highly, because she came from that side of the fence. So a lot of us are like, I don't know if I trust anybody who come from over there and was putting these laws down on us. So that's a part of it. But there's so many different sides to this, and I tell you what I like. I like the fact that we can voice whatever it is we want to voice. We gotten to that point now because if you go back far enough, right? You go back. I don't like this thing about um, my vote won't count. They really don't understand when they say that my vote won't count because, all right, African American men were allowed to vote in what, 1800, 1870, something like that. And they were allowed to vote. They had a right to vote, but they also had to take a literacy test.
Sure.
They also had to have a polling tax. So there was a lot of obstacles in voting back then. So it's like me, I'm a rational man. I'm more like, what's the benefits to cost? Is it going to cost me my life to go vote? Or am I going to have more benefits before vote? So once upon a time, the cost to vote was too high. Nobody was really voting. So when you look at it now, you look at where we've come for voting and where we've come to voice our opinions, not ideology. Well, you look at those young men, they have a chance to voice themselves. The only thing I say is don't just do it at election time. Voice yourself all the time because you know when the blacks left the South to go to the North, millions of them they voted as a block. That's why the Democratic Party and all those parties were trying to get them because in order to be an official, you had to get votes. So then, wait a minute, there's a whole lot of votes over there. I can become official. So yeah, one time they still trying to get us to vote as a block, and that's what a lot of people are mad about. We ain't no monolithic culture. We don't vote one way. Yeah, but once upon a time we were. We had our top priorities were racism, persecution. That was our top priority. So we voted together because that's what we was up against. Well, now it's a little more open about what we're up against. And I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see that, we're talking about economy, we're talking about culture, we're talking about a multitude of things. So we might not be able to vote a block like we used to be able to vote, even though now when you look at it, they still say about, I don't know what the number is, 80, 90% blacks are still voting as a block for the Democrats or whatever it is. But so when I look at that, I mean, I don't want to get too far off, but yeah, I'm just looking at, where we come from, how we got to where we are, why we even have an opportunity to talk about voting for, this guy or that guy. Why we have the opportunity to talk about why I don't like this candidate or that candidate. But the real thing is, you have to have some interest annually, all year round. I mean, if you really want to do something. So that's a whole thing that we can get into. But if you really want to be a part of society, you really want to make a difference. One vote, if we vote in the general election, you're right. But guess what? If the people are not doing what you want, you can't wait till next year to tell them.
That's
You
right.
got to tell them all the way through. You got to call, write a letter, email, text, whatever it is you want to do to the locals. And that's how you're going to make change. You ain't going to make change by saying, well, I voted for them, but they didn't do what I do last. They didn't do anything I want last time.
Hmm.
If you wait one time a year to talk to these people, you're not going to get what you're supposed to be getting.
Right. Okay. So one thing I want to say that to that video is one common sentiment about that video is that those brothers were uninformed, uneducated. That was certain people's response to that. And my question to you is that okay for them to, because I don't feel that most people are educated when it comes to politics. And so, to me that's more of an emotional response from a lot of those young men. Um, so I one thing that I have been seeing, and one thing that it, it seems to is starting to become a pattern, is the invalidation of the feelings of black men. Because it's like, regardless if they have the proper education, this is still a genuine feeling that we saw it across multiple, from one specific area. That video was actually taken in Chicago. So if that's a common sentiment amongst those young men, I think when people start to say, "Oh, they're all uneducated," or they all don't know what they're talking about, I think overall that does kind of diminish people's voice, or um, discounts their feelings when it comes to their when it comes to what they feel about the current election. So, how much do you guys feel it should be based on emotion, or do you feel like it's more important to vote for something based on how you feel, or based on the policies? Which what direction do you guys lean on that?
Uh, I vote. Well, there's a lot of reasons to be voting. I mean, me personally, like I said before, I'm a rational voter. I weigh uh, benefits to outcome, benefits to cost. I weigh that. I look at the social norms, and what I mean by social norms is like how we live in society, the normal things society goes through. Uh, I look at, should I vote? Do I think it's right to vote? Um, I want those. I want people to know that I care about voting.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I have an altruistic thought about all of that too. And like one of the norms, I give you something like a norm, an example of a norm that's pretty simple. Where, like, okay, you go to the restaurant, and when you go to the restaurant, you take your napkin or you take the cloth and you lay it over your lap. That's
Uh-oh.
like a social norm. So, when you come to voting, there are some normal things that it's like a normal thing to do. And this is just for some people. This is not for everybody. I just believe that voting
I don't
helps
know
us
if
to
I
choose the
understood
society
my
that we
or
want. Now, you've got
or
some people
not.
who, like I said before, who they really don't care. It's like, okay, something is on TV, all of these things are popping up, at this time of year, you got advertisements, you got people asking about voting. Nobody's asking about no voting, in March or whatever. So you're not getting a whole lot of talk. But around this time, people have opinions, and, whether you are informed or not, you probably have an opinion, some sort of opinion based on what you, like you said, like Frank said, what you're going through your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
You might be feeling like that kid said, you might be feeling that uh, people are taking your jobs. Whether they are or they not, you might be feeling that way. And perception is real.
Right.
So I don't disvalue anybody because they have a particular feeling or a particular emotion. What I say is that uh, it has to come down to the people who are willing to talk to them, who are willing to communicate with them. And if you really want to know what's going on, you have to do your own research.
Mm-hmm.
Some people care about that, and some people don't. You can't. I'm not so far. I'm not a political science major, so I'm not trying to get into every little bitty thing about uh, what voting is and what it's not, and the pundits and the politicians. I do enough to say I'm an informed voter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not, a lot of times, even today, with all of the websites and what's available for you to look at, I don't always go for every candidate and look at what it is that they're doing. I'm not doing all of that. I vote most in a general mode.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and generally, like I said, I have an ideology about what I believe economics should be, what I believe the political stances, what I believe religious. I believe, there's some things that I like about that. And I go for someone who's generally in that group.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I do. So as far as these kids and people are judging them about or dumping on them about not knowing and not informed and not all of this, that is what they see at the moment. And those you have to deal with too. We have a lot of informed people that are voting both different ways.
Right.
So whether you're informed or not informed, some people are informed and they might not be informed.
Mm-hmm.
They think they know, but they really don't know. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Okay. So I think Frank, you still can you hear us? Are you good? Okay.
I can
I can
hear,
hear you.
but you're frozen.
Oh, we're not moving on the free.
Yeah, you're frozen.
Okay. Well, we can still hear you. So I guess we can. Were you able to hear what my dad said?
I don't hear it.
I think we were. We are we lagging as well? He might be lagging. You wanna leave out?
Yes.
Okay. You wanna leave out and come back in? Maybe add you to the thing again.
Okay.
Okay. Frank is just gonna step off for a quick second, and then we're gonna add him back to the call.
Okay.
But,
But yeah, while he's out and coming back, again, I mean, people trying to get into the process, people speaking a little 1, 2 cents um, is all important to me. You know, uh, you could say, like I said, you could say people are uninformed, and they might be, they might not be, but it's very difficult to be 100% informed on this political situation.
right.
All of the things that are going on, all of the different laws, where everybody stand and why that's important to me, why that's not important to me. It's very complicated on every little thing that's going on. You know, you hear them coming in.
No, it was some dogs barking next door. I
Oh,
was
oh,
trying to
oh, oh.
mute myself, but hold on, let me bring you back up. Sorry, you were talking. I had the other screen waiting to see if Frank was gonna join back
Oh, if
on.
he's gonna jump in.
Yeah. So one thing I did want to mention was I feel like oh no, sorry. Um, man, I don't know what they're doing outside. When it comes to this current election, I feel like, or really the more recent elections, I think there's a pressure on black men, especially, to vote a certain way. Um, and I think I want to say, I've been comparing it to well, I really did kind of want to wait to bring the okay, hold on, I think Frank is back. Hold
He
on.
just came back in.
Okay. Yeah, before I wanted Frank to be here for that. Let me I gotta set you up on the thing here. Copy this link. Okay. we good? You can see us now, Frank?
Yeah, everything's back to normal.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
We're back. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to get into the next thing I wanted to say because I was just mentioning to my dad. It feels like there is a push for. Well, I won't even say to vote a particular way, but there's just more of a push to get black men to vote in general across the board. And one thing that I've been recognizing, or I'm comparing it to the I would say the attempt to kind of get black men back into church. I liken it to that. Um, so just in, I would say, where it feels that the pressure may be coming from, and um, I guess maybe some of the tactics in how it's being trying to influence us to vote. So I just kind of want you to say if you guys see any comparisons, or if this is somewhat familiar, or if you had like, because that's how I'm looking at it. It seems very like it has a lot of the similar feelings to trying to get people back into the church in a way. So I wanted you guys to maybe if you see any comparisons or any similarities to that.
So I want to piggyback off of something. Now, we've been referring to him as dad. What's your actual name?
Calvin.
Calvin.
Sorry,
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
fine.
sorry
Calvin.
about that.
And he asked me to introduce myself, but I didn't even say it.
Yeah, that's all right.
Calvin
So,
Robinson, yes.
okay, all right. So, to a point that you were making earlier, that we definitely don't want to get lost in all of this, when you were talking about how some people have been kind of talking about being on the border as far as actually voting, because we saw in the video you shared the one gentleman, he said he wasn't going to vote for either, but then he had a lot to say about the candidates, even though he wasn't voting, which is interesting. And to the point that Calvin was making earlier, what I think about when I think about voting, I always think particularly about Medgar Evers. Medgar Evers literally gave his life for us to have the right to vote. And so, what I tell people to do is do enough. We have the web, we got libraries full of books. Go to Barnes and Nobles. Do what you need to do to get informed enough to vote for somebody. For me, it's unacceptable to say you're not voting for anybody, because if you do enough research, you will be able to draw a conclusion as to which person best satisfies your needs. For most people who are bowing out is because they are only relying on sound bites that they're hearing on this network and that network, or they might
Hear my
watch a
back?
piece of a video.
I can't.
We have more than that, because let me say this before I give up the mic. I believe that this election is probably the most consequential election that we've had since maybe Lincoln.
The video and audio, Frank's video and audio went out.
I can still see it. Sorry, you keep going, Frank.
Yeah, keep
Oh
going. Yeah.
no!
Sorry, we trying.
Oh, you heard you able to hear me? Okay.
I can hear you. I can hear you, and you're still live. So I was telling my dad to leave and come back if he's having issues.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Frank.
Yeah.
You go.
So
I guess to the people you guys sent it out to.
Oh, yeah.
I really did wanna. Something else I wanted to have was a girl on here. I did call Leah, but I didn't even get to talk to her yet. So, but I really think that's another thing. I didn't want to have certain conversations without a woman being here, because I do want it to be more of a dialogue as to, you know, how they feel, like, especially having them react to, you know, that video that we watched, which I also feel was, you know, I think it was just a compilation where, you know, he might have asked 100 people and those couple of people said that, but I really just wanted to highlight that, you know, these are real feelings that, you know, some people have, and
Right.
you know, it's not right to discredit them. Oh, okay, hold on. Let's see. Hey.
He's back.
Okay, you guys can hear each other. Okay, actually, let me. Okay, so here I'm gonna get rid of myself. All right, so I'm gonna just do this. Full screen. Okay, fit the screen. There we go. Okay, so now this is just being we don't have the background anymore. So if you're watching and it tuned in, we just had some technical difficulty. But we're all back now. We were just about to call it for next time, Frank. But since you joined back, you know, we got a couple more minutes that we can go. But I was really just in the process of saying that I did want to. I was trying to refrain from having certain conversations without women being here, just because, like, I wanted their reaction to that video as well. I've been speaking to a lot of different women and their, you know, their perspectives. So actually, there is one thing. So back when it was first announced that Kamala was going to be running for president, me personally, looking at it as a move, I was like, wow, that was a brilliant move by the Democratic Party. But I also saw where eventually it was going to put a lot of pressure on black men. And I say that because I think even prior to Kamala being elected, I feel like the sentiment was still leaning towards Trump. So one thing I don't want is to make it seem like that video was to, you know, disregard anything that Kamala has accomplished, or, you know. But I do want to say that even before she was elected, I was still feeling like the streets and the black culture was still leaning more towards the Republican Party at the time. And I think that's been a combination with, you know, like a lot of them were saying money. People felt like they had more funds, I guess, during the Trump administration than they do currently. I think across the board, it's just not a great time economically, and I'm not saying either. I don't believe either party really will change that. I think we're just in a very difficult time in America. But I think one thing I did want to ask you guys was, what's you guys' definition of leadership? Because currently, if I'm just doing a high level like psych evaluation of black America right now, is there's really, and I think really ever since probably Obama left, I feel like it black people haven't necessarily trusted the leadership. But what direction do you feel that and I don't want to just speak for black America, but what leadership style are you guys looking for from the next president, or any presidents in general?
You want to go, Frank?
Yeah, so when I think about leadership, firstly, I think about someone who is willing to listen. That's number one. When I think about leadership, I also think about someone who's able to follow. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, perhaps that is what makes a lot of people struggle with President Trump, because the rap on him is that he doesn't listen well and he doesn't follow well. And so when you ask the question about leadership, those are two qualities that I think are important for a leader. A lot of times people just think about a leader as someone who has other people behind them. Well, yes and no. I mean, because a person can be behind someone under duress. That doesn't mean that that person is authentically being led by that person. Because if you've got someone under duress, as soon as the opportunity occurs, which is true when you're dealing with dictators, as soon as they get a chance, they're going to get away. They're going to spring free. So, to put a bow on my statements, I do believe that in some respects, and that was a great question. You kind of, although that question should be obvious, it was a very important question, because for me, that's a big part of the problem that we have.
Real quick, I'll say, over the years, well, I'm gonna give currently. I was saying right now, I would say that we're under. I don't necessarily look at the president as a leader anymore. I think probably back when my first time voting, back when I think it was Obama's second term was my first time being able to vote. You know what I mean? I think that was kind of my idea of a leader, or and just being young and not exactly knowing what just kind of trying to get in there and have my voice be heard at the time. But I guess as the years have gone by and I get older, I'm noticing that it's not necessarily all the power that the president directly has, but maybe more of the party that's around them. So when it looks at and something that my dad has always told me was that there's times when you may need to be more democratic, and there's times when you need to be more conservative. So that's kind of how I've grown up in looking at things in waves, and kind of just having things adjusting to the times. So I believe that currently people, and I'm gonna speak for black men, just young black men right now, and not representing all of them. Like I said, I'm trying to be almost like a character, but if I say that I haven't felt any real leadership for black men since Obama has left office. So no one has necessarily, come directly to us or has filled that void of kind of being a voice and direction or representation of what we should be. And I think that's kind of where, then we turn to, rappers and entertainers to kind of fill that void. And as we continue to, and I think that's kind of where Trump has the appeal, because he's similar to a rapper, kind of, in my opinion. It's like he's always championing the same, because when you look at why black men gravitate to rappers or entertainers, is because of the lifestyle that they're living, or where they eventually aspire to be in life. So a lot of the young men who you saw earlier, aspire to have money. Like that's something that they don't have. So when they see something that they don't have, then that's something that they actually want. Um, and so I just maybe if you guys could speak to why, or do you guys feel that you could be, um, or if you have any issues with um, a woman leading? And real before you answer that, I do want to say it feels like I would say right now in America, I feel like, especially in Black America, I feel like the women are fastly surpassing the men just in pretty much most categories, education, income. So currently, it seems like Black men in general are in the most need of direction, but there's not being anything supplied for them right now. So, yeah, if any of you could speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to leadership, there's so many different types of leaders, like spiritual leader, warfare leader, political leader. I mean, when I think of leaders in general, I think of a leader as a leader of everybody up under them, not one sect, not just this people, not just where they came from, or not just in the political arena or the economic arena. I look for someone who can lead, and I feel that I'm a part of. They have to be able to reach a multitude of people. You have to be able to show that you care about these people that you're leading. You know, um, I don't really, but if somebody's leading me into war, I might not really be caring about their inspiration of spiritual or something like that. So to me, there are different leaders for different times. And you were talking about women. There are times when women can be leaders of certain aspects in life. A lot of people can be leaders. But again, like I said, when I look for a leader, I'm looking for someone who, um, and it doesn't. I guess it really depends. Like right now, we're talking about a political leader.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a political leader, I'm really looking for someone who understands everybody up under that realm.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just, if you were voted by a certain sect of people, then you're only going to do for those people. That's not the type of leader I'm looking for. I'm looking for, whether I voted for you or I didn't vote for you, that you have everybody in mind. You have the country in mind, because we're voting for a leader of the country. We're
Mm-hmm.
not voting for the leader of a Democratic Party. Everybody's not voting for somebody who's Republican or independent or all of these other, there's so many different parties out there. You do know that. There's
Right.
like, I can't even name all of them parties that are out there. I remember when I went to vote, and, I'm voting for president, and I see like 12, 6, 7 parties. So I'm looking for a leader who um, can express themselves as to what their values are, who they are. I want somebody who's moral, of course, who has some character about them, and can lift people up. That's basically what I want in a leader. I want somebody who I believe in, who I believe I'm almost like. Somebody who can do what I do and take it to the nth level, take it up higher. So that's basically what I'm looking for, a leader. And can women lead? Yeah, they can lead.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, but then again, it's like I said, to me, there are so many different types of leaders, and who you might want you to lead in a basketball game might not be the same person you want to be leading you in a political game. So it really depends on what you're talking about. But the overall values I want from somebody is somebody who takes everybody into consideration and can be able to talk to everybody up under them. Can be able to understand. Like Frank said, you got to be able to listen to these people that are up under that you're leading. So that's kind of what I look forward to.
Well, to a point that you made earlier, Dre, Black women in the United States are today no longer in the position that they may have been in the 30s and 40s. In so many segments of society, Black women are leading. And so, as a Black man, you would almost have to be ludicrous to say that you can't see a Black woman leading because Black women are leading. Now, one of the things that I just realized in a very different way through our conversation, like Calvin said, for the most part, Black people have been voting in blocks, voting almost exclusively Democratic.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, Dre, your dad taught you that you vote according to the person that is going to support the needs of you and your community. And so it became clear to me the reason why we have only voted Democrat exclusively for so long. And going back to your leadership question, in so many ways, I feel like Black leaders are responsible for that because through the church and other institutions, Black leaders or people who have been looked at as leaders have, because they've been bought, they have pointed those who trust them towards a particular party. So one of my heroes was the late great Hosea Williams. He said he was unbought and unbossed. And so I think we need more of that if we are going to get out of this quagmire, because it's very easy for a party to take advantage of you once they understand that by their leaders, you got all of them. And that's been the mentality of the Democratic Party for maybe the past 40 years at least.
When you think about leadership, what I was saying before about why we voted in a block, because we had a common thesis, we had a common theme, we had some commonality. We've come out of that, not all the way, because we still have racism. So we still hang together because of racism. When I'm walking down the street and I see somebody my color, I give them a little nod, I give them a little something, because I still have that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But we're so much more than that now. And like I said earlier, it's hard to think about leaders in the Black community because you don't see nobody talking about anything until it's election time.
Right.
We don't see these people. So those guys who you had on the video earlier, they haven't seen anybody talking about anything. How are you going to be a leader? Where are our leaders? They need to be talking at all times. All of those people like Hosea, Dr. Luther King, Martin Luther King, all of those guys, they talked all through the year. You always knew where they stood. They was with you all the way. It's easy to be a leader. Who do we have now that you trust that are out there talking annually, daily, monthly, weekly? No one.
Rappers.
So yeah, so when you look at leaders today, it's very hard for the Black community to get behind anybody because there's nobody out there talking to you except when they actually want something. Nobody is out there championing our causes throughout the year, white or Black or whatever one of color you want to put in there. So it's very hard to see a leader. And to me, when I think of leadership, I look at other cultures and I look at how they got to where they were because they had a um a respectful hierarchy. There was always somebody at the top. And no matter what people thought, they had to go through this hierarchy to get to the top. So all decisions came from up there. We don't have anything like that. We don't trust anybody like that. Who do we trust that we're gonna say yes to whatever they say? We don't trust nobody like that. So it's very hard right now to say, uh, well, which direction are the black people going in? We have a couple of different things that we go for, and but today people are breaking out of that. Just like any other thing. Just if you look at the Republican Party, how they broke up from way back when they first started, they've been going back and forth. And even if you look at the Republican Party today, right, there are a lot of people coming out of the Republican Party because they believe it ain't the Republican Party. It's switching. You look at the Democratic Party, right? Look at all the breakouts in the Democratic Party, right? And the same thing in the black community. We have our own ideas. We're coming up with different things. 100 of us believe in this, 100 of us believe in that, 100 of us believe in this. So all of that to me is good. It's a good thing. I mean, I don't know. I do believe that voting in big blocks, if you can find your big block, it matters. Because why does it matter? Because the politicians believe that if I can get that, then I can get elected. And in order to get that, I got to do something to get that. That's what it's supposed to be. But you have to also put the politicians in position to do something for you, as opposed to just asking for your vote. You have to make sure that they're going to do something for you. But that's down the line. So yeah, leadership is important. I believe in leadership. I would like to find a leader, who came to me and didn't only come to me when they wanted a vote or didn't only come to me when they wanted some money. You know, I like to see in my neighborhood throughout the time, just like we have a congressman here. Uh, uh, when do I don't see him enough as far as I'm concerned. I don't see him enough. Now, you have a lot of people talking about, well, the Democrats ain't done nothing for us. But I tell you what, the Democrats have diversified their ranks way more than what it used to be. Now, is that really the Democrats not doing for us? Is that our own people who we are voting to get into these elected officials? We are voting for these officials that are not doing for us. Which really is it? Because when you look at the Democratic Party today, when I see them up on the screen, I see a lot of diversity, which I love. I love seeing black men, black women, all in the background. I don't really like seeing a monolithic people in the background that don't look nothing like me. Don't look nothing like what I want America to look like.
Mm. Okay.
So that's when you talk about leadership, that's what I look for. And I believe that is very difficult in the black culture today because it's hard to find somebody who you can get behind.
That's exactly why I think rappers are so influential today because they're in front of people daily. And that's another reason why I said, and that's where I'm feeling like there is miscommunication amongst who's really speaking to the black community, and I'm talking about by the resources each campaign has chosen to sort out. So if we looked at that list that I brought up last week, it was a lot of older acts, and I could tell you just by the people on that list, I could tell that they were very out of touch with who people are listening to just by who they were recruiting. Um, so I lost my
Train of thought.
train of thought where I was going because that was a different point. But so like you were saying, people being or you want to see people consistently in the in the neighborhood speaking about One thing that
Issues, yeah.
right. And when it also comes to black people voting as a monolith or, voting in a block, one thing that I think I'm starting to find slightly more offensive is feeling like everything having to do with poverty is also synonymous with black people. So that's something that has really started to irk me more and more, especially as just time goes on. Um, I don't always want to. I don't identify. Um, I mean, I understand financial struggles, but I also feel like I personally have control all over whether I'm going to financially struggle or not. And I know a lot of people don't feel that they do have that type of control over their life, but when I'm constantly seeing things, um, push towards, oh well, you should need more money, you should need oh, not even you should need more money, but I guess more incentives to help people who aren't necessarily, I don't know how to put this. um
You're talking about financial, some sort of financial help.
Financial, social, I'm just saying that it seems to be certain things are starting to get a little offensive in terms of how I feel we're being marketed to. Um, so a lot of times there's been a couple of campaigns I did want. That was one of the things that I wanted to bring up because there were some recent campaigns that you can kind of tell are more geared towards young black men. So they had. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the. There's a current like dating um, dating show that's like on YouTube where they'll have a young man or a young woman come up and then they'll go. There's a line of potential people to date, and they have a balloon. It's called the balloon pop game. So you come in, you introduce yourself, and within the first couple of minutes, it's like the last person who holds the balloon, then the people end up going on a date or something. So person will come in, and some people will pop the balloon instantly just because they don't like the way the person looks or they don't like how they're dressed or something. So, and then once they start talking, then some people might be like, oh, well, let me uh, pop the balloon because I don't like an answer he said, or I don't like an answer she said, and then so that's just to give you a little context. So that's a very popular dating game. Actually, I could probably show. I don't know where that exact
Well, I mean, while you're looking
contact
that
is.
up, you do know that uh, they have always tried to find ways to increase voter turnout. I mean, they try everything. I don't know. There are times when they have cookouts, or they'll have a parties, or you know, they have free giveaways just to get people to vote. I mean, look at the thing that just happened on TV the other day, which what's that guy's name? The rich guy. He's talking about he's gonna give $1 million to people who come out and register, and that turned out to be, I don't know if that's illegal or not illegal. What's his name? The Tesla guy. The
Elon Musk.
Tesla guy. Musk.
Hmm.
He talking about he got a million. But I'm just saying, when you look at when it comes to this political game, it is it is really top level. And it is very difficult to really get into it because to actually get into it, it's almost like going to school and studying. I mean, there are people who study this political science or who've gotten into politics all their life. So I'm not trying to be a political science major. And most people are not trying to go out and look at 8, 9, 10 different people and see, what they are about and what their political views are. They ain't really trying to do all that. That's why we probably have, these two major parties. Some simple, some general, simple stuff. And when you look at that, that actually tells you a little bit about, where people are when it comes to voting, when it comes to thinking about voting, when it comes to almost anything in life that you care something about, right? How do you go about it? What do you think about it? You know, your ideology of whatever it is that we're talking about, dating, the political realm, and a lot of people never really give it much thought, right? They don't give it a whole lot of thought. They might give it, like we said a while ago, they might look at the last clip, they might look at the last soundbite, and that might trigger something for them to say something. All valid how they feel right then. It's just a very difficult thing if you really want to get into this political game. It's so diversified with thought and psychology. I mean, look at all of the things they're doing to try to figure out why do people vote. Why do they vote this way? And then they break it all down into all different sections: African, women, age, and all of this. I mean, it's a game within a game.
Definitely agree. It's I always say I'm very big on life as a game, and I definitely see the political game that's being played. It was another. I didn't look up the actual balloon popping game, but I think so. Some people took offense to that, and like once again, I'm just generalizing, just acting as a so. To some people, it felt like, well, I don't. Frank, have you seen Chirac, the movie Chirac? It was like
No.
it was kind of okay, so I won't use that. But it was almost like
I can't believe you watch a movie.
it's an older movie. It had Nick Cannon. It was actually like a, what do they call it? Like a spoof video movie. It was it was satire. It was hard to tell at first if it was serious or if it was a joke, but it was speaking about politics and just kind of women's stances on voting. So it was like kind of like no voting, no relations. So and that was kind of a similar message that advertisement was given. And I think every time something seems specifically targeted towards black men, we find offense with it to a degree, because it's never necessarily. I don't feel like we feel it's ever painting us in a positive light.
Well, I mean, also they, when I say they, the people who are doing the targeting, the people behind the scenes doing this marketing game, they're trying to figure it all out.
Right.
They're trying to figure how to talk to you. They're trying to figure what to say to you. So they get a lot of it wrong. But by getting it wrong and keep doing it, they're trying to find their way. If you look at this political game from all the way back, they've been doing this for a very long time, trying to figure out, well, how do the Italians vote? They ain't saying nothing like that. But once upon a time, how do the Jewish people vote? And then trying to figure out, well, how do we get them to vote this way? Or how do we understand their vote? So you have a lot of that. You have right now um, people saying things about young black men in general, not understanding how to reach them, not understanding how to talk to them. But they are trying. And whether they're doing it good or whether they're doing it bad, that's left up to everybody to say. But this is part of their game, right? They're going to figure it out how to get you and how to understand you somewhere down the line. I don't know when that's coming, but that's what they're working on.